All right, diving in today to a business plan that really caught my attention, sent in by one of you listeners for a creative agency in Minneapolis called Umbrella Collective. Now, on the surface, they seem like a lot of other agencies out there
Mm.
offering video production, web development, the usual stuff. But
Yeah, there's definitely a twist here. A unique angle that makes Umbrella Collective stand out.
yeah, tell me about that.
Well, they're planning to draw their entire workforce
Mm.
from minority and unhoused communities in Minneapolis. So they're aiming to be a successful for-profit agency.
Yeah.
But at the same time, empowering these communities.
I gotta say, that's a pretty interesting mix of business and social good. But if I'm being honest, I'm a little skeptical. Can they really achieve both those goals? I mean, how
Yeah.
do they plan to make this work, practically speaking?
Yeah, it's ambitious for sure. But their plan is actually quite detailed. They're using what they call a sub-collective model, essentially breaking down the agency into smaller teams, each specializing in a specific service.
So instead of one big agency trying to do it all,
Exactly. You might have a sub-collective for lawn care, another for security, and yet another focusing on digital marketing.
I see. So that creates a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Allows them to adapt to demand and tap into a wide range of skills within the community.
Clever, especially for a startup.
Right.
But let's say I'm a business owner. I need a new website. I need some marketing materials. Can these sub-collectives really deliver the same level of quality I'd expect from a more established agency?
That's the question, isn't it? They seem confident that they can, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on competitive pricing, making their services accessible.
Right.
But I think the real differentiator, at least from their perspective, is that social impact angle.
You're talking about the See Me, Hear Me program, right?
Yeah.
That really caught my eye, too. Seems like more than just marketing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It seems deeply ingrained in their identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's about capturing and sharing stories
Mm-hmm.
from the community, the people they're working with, challenging stereotypes, giving these individuals a platform.
So it's not just, hey, hire us, we'll build you a website. It's be a part of something bigger.
Exactly. Partner with us.
Mm-hmm.
And you're contributing to positive social impact.
Powerful. Could be a strong selling point.
They're hoping so.
Hmm.
Hoping to attract clients who are looking for that. Something beyond just a service. Aligning with a company.
With a social conscience.
All well and good, but how are they actually going to make money doing this? You mentioned competitive pricing, but is that enough to keep the lights on and achieve that social mission?
What struck me is that their projected startup costs are quite low.
Okay, how so?
They're relying heavily on a network of freelancers, so they don't have the overhead of a traditional agency.
Makes sense. No big office space, smaller staff,
Right.
but freelancers still need to get paid. Plus there's marketing, equipment, all sorts of expenses.
Definitely. But they've laid out a multi-pronged approach to generating revenue. Obviously, client projects are the primary source.
Right.
But they're also exploring grant funding opportunities, especially those focused on social enterprises. So client work, plus potential grants.
Yeah.
Do they have any concrete numbers, like how much they need to bring in each month?
They do. Their break-even analysis suggests around $5,000 a month.
5,000. Seems achievable if they can get a consistent flow of projects.
Yeah, that's the key.
But getting those projects, it's a crowded market,
No doubt.
even for established agencies. So how are they going to market themselves?
Well, their strategy seems heavily focused on community engagement,
Okay.
building a strong online presence,
Yeah.
networking with local businesses, and really leveraging that See Me, Hear Me program.
To set themselves apart.
Exactly. Showcasing that social impact, attracting clients
Mhm.
who are looking for something more than just a service provider.
Makes sense. Tapping into that niche market, that values social responsibility. But
Right.
is that market big enough to sustain their growth? And how do they plan to manage that growth while staying true to their mission?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. They've outlined a phased approach to growth,
Okay, tell me more.
starting with pilot programs, then expanding those sub-collectives based on demand and the talent they can bring in.
So, starting small, scaling up strategically
Yeah,
makes
let's-
sense, especially given the unique nature
Yeah.
of their workforce. But zooming out a bit, what's their long-term vision? Where do they see Umbrella Collective in 5, 10 years?
Their ultimate goal is self-sustainability, reaching a point where the revenue from client projects covers all their expenses and fuels those social impact initiatives.
Ambitious.
It is.
But it sounds like they have a plan. Will be fascinating to see
Yeah.
how they balance those financial realities with their social goals.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance,
Yeah.
but definitely one worth exploring. I mean, if they can prove that this model works, it could have implications
Yeah.
far beyond just one agency.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis,
That's a thought-provoking idea. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's dive a bit deeper into this See Me, Hear Me program. You mentioned it's more than just marketing. So how does it actually work, and what are they hoping to achieve?
with it, I'm picturing like a website. Potential client lands on it. And there's the usual stuff, services, portfolio, all that. But then they also see these stories, these personal stories from the community UmbrellaCollective works with.
Right, like adding a whole other dimension to the brand.
Yeah, it's more than just here's what we can do
Yeah.
for you. It's
Yeah.
here's who we are. Here are the people we support.
Exactly. I think that could be really powerful if they do it right.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
it also feels like a delicate balance.
Hmm.
You want to showcase these stories authentically, empower those voices, but you don't want to exploit anyone.
Yeah, you have to be very sensitive, very aware of the ethical considerations.
So how do they plan to handle that in
Hmm.
practice? Well, the business plan actually addresses that. They talk about informed consent, making sure participants have control over how their stories are shared,
Right.
and even potentially offering compensation for their time and contribution.
Okay, that's reassuring. But still, logistically, who's going to be responsible for collecting these stories, and how do they ensure the quality, the authenticity of the content?
It sounds like they're planning to have a dedicated team, maybe even a sub-collective, focused specifically on the See Me, Hear Me program.
Interesting.
And they mentioned partnerships
Hmm.
with local organizations
Yeah.
that have experience working with these communities.
So tapping into existing expertise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leveraging those networks.
Smart. Shows they're thinking long-term about this.
It's not just a side project. It's woven into the fabric of the business.
It's almost like they're not just telling these stories, they're using them
Uh-huh.
to differentiate themselves in the marketplace.
Yeah, a bold strategy. But it could really pay off.
If clients are looking for that authenticity.
Exactly. I think more and more clients are. They can spot a marketing gimmick a mile away.
For sure.
But when they see a genuine commitment to social impact, something that's ingrained in a company's culture,
It's a different story.
it's a different story.
It becomes more than just hiring a service.
Right.
It's about aligning your values.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about their vision,
Mhm.
their structure, their marketing approach, this fascinating storytelling initiative. But let's talk about the people. I mean, the success of this whole thing hinges on their ability to recruit and retain a talented workforce.
Absolutely. And they seem very aware of that. A significant portion of the business plan is dedicated to recruitment and training strategies.
What's the approach? Are they going through traditional channels
Yep.
or something more targeted?
Sounds like a mix.
Yeah.
They're planning to partner with local shelters, community centers, workforce development programs.
Reaching out directly to those communities.
Exactly.
Smart.
But they also emphasize the importance of creating
Yeah.
a welcoming and supportive work environment.
So it's not just about offering a job. It's about providing support, addressing those underlying needs.
Yeah, things like flexible work arrangements,
Mhm.
maybe wraparound services to help with housing, transportation, even mentorship programs
Yeah.
to develop skills and advance careers.
It's a holistic approach.
It is.
Recognizing that
Mm.
for someone facing housing insecurity or other challenges,
Mm.
a traditional 9-to-5 job might not be feasible.
Exactly. They're trying to break down those barriers, create opportunities
Yeah.
for people who might otherwise be overlooked.
It's a beautiful vision, but realistically, starting a business is hard.
Oh, yeah,
And this model feels like it comes with its own set of challenges.
definitely. And to their credit, they do acknowledge those potential risks in the plan.
Like what?
Well, for one, working with individuals who are
Yes.
experiencing homelessness, other challenges, it can bring a level of unpredictability.
Right, like client deadlines are unforgiving. What happens if someone's dealing with a personal crisis and can't meet those deadlines?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
They talk about the importance of open communication, flexibility, having contingency plans in place.
So being prepared for the unexpected,
Exactly.
but also having those support systems in place.
Right. Like access to case managers,
Yeah.
social workers,
Mm.
to help participants navigate those challenges.
It's about being proactive,
Yeah.
recognizing that things won't always go smoothly,
Yeah.
but having that safety net for both the participants and the business.
It's a balancing act for sure.
Absolutely. They're also up against a lot of competition.
Right. They acknowledge that too.
So how do they plan to stand out, aside from that social mission?
Well, they're emphasizing their commitment to quality, customer service, building a team of experienced freelancers, passionate about their work. And they're also leveraging technology, streamlining operations, ensuring efficient project management.
Sounds like they're trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah, they seem very thorough.
But one concern I have, and maybe you share this, is the potential for mission drift. You know? As they grow, as they face pressure to prioritize profits, how do they ensure they stay true to those social impact goals?
That's a great point. And I think they've anticipated that concern. They've established a clear set of metrics to track their progress.
Both financial and social impact.
Exactly.
Give me some examples.
Yeah. On the financial side, it's the usual stuff. Revenue growth, profitability, client retention.
Right, the bottom line.
But then they also have metrics to measure their social impact. Things like number of participants they employ, number of sub-collectives they launch, the reach of the See Me, Hear Me program.
So they're measuring their success, not just in dollars and cents, but also in terms of the positive impacts.
On the community.
I like that.
And they're committed to sharing their progress with stakeholders, clients, investors, the community.
Transparency.
That's encouraging.
That's encouraging. Still, though, it's a big gamble.
Oh, yeah.
A lot could go wrong.
There are definitely challenges. But what I find so exciting about this business plan is that it's not just about making money.
It's about something more.
Yeah. It's about using business as a force for good.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
And if they can pull it off...
it could be a model for others to follow.
Well, imagine more businesses adopting this approach, using their resources, their expertise, to address social issues, create opportunities.
It's a vision worth striving for.
Absolutely. But for now, let's bring it back to Umbrella Collective and their specific plans.
Okay.
You mentioned a phased approach to growth.
Right.
Starting with a pilot phase. What does that look like?
Well, during the pilot, they'll focus on a limited number of sub-collectives, just getting things up and running, building that solid foundation.
So testing the waters.
Exactly. The next phase involves expanding those service offerings, launching new sub-collectives, growing the workforce, and really ramping up their marketing efforts.
To attract more clients.
Exactly.
Building that momentum.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about the long-term sustainability, I mean. They're relying heavily on freelancers.
Right.
Which can be cost-effective.
Right.
But also challenging in terms of consistency, quality control.
They've acknowledged that. And they're already thinking about how they can transition some of those freelancers into full-time employees. As they grow,
interesting.
They're also exploring things like profit sharing or cooperative ownership models.
To give those workers a greater stake.
Exactly.
I like that.
Creating a shared sense of ownership. Empowering everyone to contribute.
It's more than just a job at that point.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Mission, structure, marketing, the storytelling program, recruitment, training, growth, sustainability. Anything else in this plan that really stood out to you?
Honestly, one of the things that impressed me most was their attention to detail. They've clearly thought through every aspect of their operation.
I agree. They're not just winging it.
No, they've done their homework.
This is a well-developed plan.
It is.
Of course, no guarantees.
Of course not.
There are always unexpected challenges.
Always.
But they seem to have the right mindset.
Yeah. Flexible, adaptable.
And they're passionate about this.
That comes through loud and clear.
Okay, so we've dissected the plan itself. But let's zoom out for a second. Bigger picture. What does the emergence of a company like this say about the role of business in society?
I think it's a sign that things are changing. That the old model of business as purely profit-driven, it's just not sustainable anymore. Consumers are demanding more.
They want to see companies that are making a positive impact.
Exactly.
They're voting with their wallets.
They are.
And I think Umbrella Collectives is at the forefront of this movement.
I agree.
They're not just talking about social impact, they're living it.
It's baked into their DNA.
That's what makes them so compelling.
It really does.
It's a bold experiment. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, a lot to learn from their journey.
Absolutely. Whether they succeed or fail.
I think so too.
Yeah, it feels like Umbrella Collective is tapping into a real shift.
Yeah, a real hunger for something different.
It's like they're a case study in action for that whole idea of business as a force for good.
It's inspiring to see.
It is. And you know what I love about these deep dives? We're not just looking at spreadsheets and projections. We're looking at potential.
Yeah.
And that brings me to you listening.
Yeah.
What can you take away from all this?
Well, one thing that really strikes me is that Umbrella Collective is challenging assumptions. You know, they're showing that it is possible to build a successful business and address social issues at the same time.
It's like they're saying we don't have to choose between profits and purpose.
Exactly.
And I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Especially younger generations.
Yeah, who are looking for companies that align with their values.
It's not just about the product or service anymore.
It's about what a company stands for.
Exactly.
So Umbrella Collective is kind of providing a blueprint for how to operate in this new landscape.
Yeah, they're showing that social impact can actually be a competitive advantage.
Now the question I have is, can this model be replicated in other industries, other cities?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is yes, with some adaptation, of course.
Right, every situation is unique.
But those core principles, empowering individuals, creating opportunities, using business as a force for good.
Those are universal.
Absolutely.
So whether you're running a tech startup, a restaurant, a manufacturing plant, these principles can apply.
It's about being intentional, creative, thinking about how your business can make a positive impact.
So for you listening, the question isn't just, will Umbrella Collective succeed? It's how can you apply these ideas to your own work, your own life?
Yeah, what kind of impact do you want to have?
It's exciting.
It is.
But it can also feel a little daunting.
It can.
So where do you even begin?
Start small. Look around your community. What are the issues you're passionate about?
What are the needs?
And don't be afraid to connect with others who are already doing this work.
There are so many people out there trying to make a difference.
Find them, learn from them, collaborate.
We live in a connected world.
We do.
And we all have a role to play.
Absolutely.
I love that. Umbrella Collective's story is just beginning, but the potential is huge.
It is.
And who knows, maybe your journey toward positive impact is just beginning too.
It's been great exploring this with you.
Likewise. And to you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked some ideas and maybe even inspired you to take action. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving to make a difference in the world.